All righty. Today we have Heath and Cole with us, and we are going to walk through some major Nashville Predators news. We are going to talk about how there has been a change of command, or essentially officially a change of command starting on June 30th. But there's been a change of command for the Nashville Predators. General Manager David Poile has announced that at the end of the year, he will be stepping down, and Barry Trotz, former coach in the NHL, former coach of the Nashville Predators, will be taking over as general manager. This is huge, huge news. But before we get into it, I want us to just kind of talk about David Poile. What has he meant? We have all been lifelong Nashville Predators fans. What has David Poile meant to you as a fan of this franchise?
Go for it, Heath.
Sure. So obviously back when this team came into the league, Nashville really, they didn't have I don't think people thought this would work here, right? He brought a franchise from the ground up. This wasn't a franchise that moved from a city, right? So this is a brand new in a state in the South that nobody knows what hockey is. It's all football here, right? So he really brought, I think, Nashville into one of the marquee markets in the league now. Obviously, the first 10 years or so were tough. Back in 2008 when they thought the team was going to move. But following that year, even before then, he brought this team and franchise into one just big hockey city. Either from the youth level, right, with travel teams and whatnot, all the way up into the NHL. People want to play here and play for a franchise that's ran by somebody like David Poile. So just to keep it short on him, I think, yeah, there are times when you get frustrated with stuff, but deep down, overall, without a guy like David Poile, I think as GM for this hockey team, this team may not be around anymore.
Yeah, I agree. And just to bounce off and be quick, because he pretty much tied it all together pretty good. He put Nashville on the map as, like Heath said, a marquee hockey market, especially after the Cup run. Of course, everybody, you can get on Facebook or any social media and see all the negative hate with some trades that he's made and things like that, and how the past few years have been terrible. But that's not what real Nashville Predators fans, lifelong Predators fans, are going to remember David Poile for. They're not going to remember him for the last 3 years of the hockey that we've seen. We need to remember him for putting Nashville where they are today, and as competitive as they've been the past decade. It's been awesome to see. So people don't need to forget that and let the past couple of years be overshadowed.
I totally agree. And to sit there and look back, this market was never going to be easy to win in. It takes someone special to make Nashville a market that a team can win. Free agents want to come here. And in his final press conference, he talked about, like, in his final years, he wanted to make this organization, like, take the game to the next level in a few areas. And I think that's David Poile. He maybe was willing to acknowledge that a Stanley Cup, while optimal, was not necessarily the main goal, because that wasn't what was always best for the future. He wasn't selling everything or buying everything in order to give himself a cup. He was simply doing what was best for the franchise. That is a really, really neat thing about David Poile. You never felt like it was a selfish decision. I think that it was just a wise, steady hand. And even though that can be frustrating at points, that's oftentimes the right call. And so I do think that there's a lot of good things to be said about David Poile in this instance. But he's replaced by Barry Trotz. And Cole, we're going to throw this to you first. What do you like or not like about the change of David Poile to Barry Trotz? And yeah, I would take it away a little bit.
Yeah, this one, I actually like it. I see a lot of people, as soon as this was announced, there were so many people would so much rather see him behind the bench and all this. But Barry Trotz is a beloved figure here. It's kind of like Philip Fulmer at Tennessee. You don't want him to go back and be a coach because eventually coaches, they go down and then they want to get fired and everybody's holding their pitchforks. So I think a general manager spot is great for him. He knows the game so well. He knows Nashville so well that I think he's a perfect fit to be the predecessor to David Poyle.
I love it. Heath, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that too. I mean, coming in, what's really nice about this transition is, I think it'll be pretty seamless between the two, right? But at the same time, he knows, like Cole was saying, he knows Nashville. He's been here for a really long time, up until he went to Washington. But he also knows how to create a winning hockey team, right? From his time here in Nashville, I mean, every team he had was competitive. Granted, the first few years it was just tough just because you're coming into the league, but you can't really do anything about that. But he found a way to get players to play with pride, even when they knew they didn't have a team that stacked up well against another team. So I think he'll do really well here. Granted, it's his first GM job, but he knows what he needs to win a cup. He knows what he needs to, kind of make this team or turn the corner on this team that has kind of seen some struggles here recently. I think he'll do well evaluating this team over the next few months and seeing what changes need to be made. But I think he'll do pretty well. Well, time will tell. But I think it'll be pretty easy for him to come in and just slide right in and start making whatever changes he needs to.
And I really think that a big deal is going to be that he is working for the rest of this year with David Poyle by his side. Yeah. Like, to me, the idea of sitting there and saying, like, he's not coming in blind. He's not starting this summer without knowing anything. He is starting. I love that he's going through a trade deadline with the most experienced general manager in the National Hockey League, the winningest general manager in National Hockey League history. And they're going to be able to work together throughout the rest of the year. And he'll be able to take over. And I think he'll do awesome. He has a great reputation around the league. Other general managers respect Barry Trotz, and he has never been a general manager before. That says something. And I don't think that his freshness is going to allow him to get fleeced in some ways. And I do appreciate that big time. All righty. Any other thoughts on the general manager move from David Poyle to Barry Trotz that you guys would like to throw out there?
Nope. Looking forward to it. Should be fun.
I think it'll be an adventure, and we'll see if any other trades get made before this trade deadline by these coexisting general managers. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next video.